The crimson dust of the Australian outback spiraled around Dr. Lisa Carter's boots as she brushed sweat from her brow. The relentless sun hammered the dig site, turning the metal scanner in her hands almost scorching to the touch. For 3 weeks, she had scoured this remote expanse, chasing satellite data that revealed odd subterranean shapes hidden far below. "Picking up anything yet, Doc?" called Jake Morrison from behind. The tall engineer had volunteered for the mission, hauling machinery capable of tearing deeper than ordinary archaeological tools. His broad arms were already caked in red grit from setting up the drill. Lisa glanced at her scanner and frowned. The signals grow sharper toward that ridge about 50 meters ahead. She raised her voice, excitement edging through. The metal content is strange. Whatever lies below is huge. The team had tracked these mysterious signals for days. 6 months earlier, satellite sweeps first flagged the anomaly, but only recently had the Australian government approved excavation. Lisa's renown as a foremost expert in unusual archaeological discoveries had secured funding. "Could be an abandoned mine," suggested Dr. Alan Brooks, the linguistics professor tagging along to analyze potential texts. Thin, gray-haired, and more comfortable with manuscripts than dust, his mastery of ancient languages was unmatched. Lisa shook her head, eyes fixed on the climbing scanner readings. "No mining firm ever dug this deep. We're talking something buried 30 meters, at least. Geology shows this land untouched by human hands." Jake powered up the drill, the machine's roar reverberating across the barren plain. The specialized rig bored through rock and soil faster than conventional methods. Lisa tracked the readings as the bits sank. At 10 meters, the metallic trace spiked. At 20 meters, her scanner lit with inexplicable energy readings. "Jake, cut it now!" she ordered sharply. He killed the drill, eyes narrowing. "Problem?" Lisa stared at her scanner, stunned. "I'm reading live energy signals, electricity, down there." Brooks shuffled close, adjusting thick glasses. "Impossible. There are no power lines here. We're hundreds of kilometers from a grid." "I know what this says," Lisa muttered. She produced another instrument designed to detect artificial structures. The display made her pulse race. "There's something built down there, something massive." The team labored through the day, widening the borehole and lowering cameras into the black. What the feeds revealed defied reason. Polished metallic walls reflected their beams, outlining vast corridors and chambers. "This isn't natural," Jake whispered, staring. "This was constructed." Lisa was already dialing on her satellite phone. "We'll need more gear and security. If this is what I think, the world will want in." 3 days later, the site thrummed with activity. The Australian military sealed the perimeter as scientists from across the globe arrived. Massive excavators gnawed into the earth, exposing ever more of the colossal form. Captain Roy Stevens marched in with military engineers, his scarred face betraying the weariness of experience. "So, what exactly are we dealing with, Doctor?" he asked as he joined Lisa at the dig's edge. Lisa pointed to the revealed surface. Even partially exposed, it was staggering. "Our scans estimated at 2 kilometers long and half a kilometer wide. Its alloy contains elements barely identifiable, and the construction defies anything known." "Could it be an experimental aircraft?" Stevens pressed. "Cold War tech? American or Russian?" Lisa shook her head firmly. "No. Geological records prove it's lain here for centuries, maybe longer. And the technology revealed bore no resemblance to anything in human history." Dr. Brooks had been examining the strange markings etched into the exposed metal. He approached with a tablet full of photographs. "I've been analyzing these symbols. They don't align with any human language or script. The mathematical constructs within them suggest a scientific grasp far beyond anything humans held, even half a century ago." As more of the structure emerged, the team began to grasp the magnitude. They were confronting something that would overturn humanity's understanding of its place in the cosmos. The object was undeniably artificial, impossibly advanced, and clearly not of human design. Jake, working with engineers, had focused on breaching the structure. "We think we've found an entry point," he reported to Lisa. "This section of metal is different, thinner. We believe we can cut through without harming what lies inside." Lisa's heart pounded with anticipation and unease. They were on the edge of becoming the first humans to set foot inside an alien craft. "Proceed carefully," she instructed. "Document everything. We have no idea what we might uncover." The cutting process took hours, lasers slowly carving through the alien alloy. At last, when the breach was wide enough, Lisa stepped forward first. Her flashlight beam pierced a corridor stretching endlessly, its walls lined with the same enigmatic glyphs Brooks had been decoding. "It's a ship," she breathed into her radio, "a spacecraft beyond anything we've ever imagined." Venturing deeper, the team uncovered evidence of its past occupants. Scattered through shadowed halls lay skeletal remains, beings tall, slender, and unmistakably non-human. Cavernous chambers brimmed with strange machines and tools crafted for bodies unlike theirs. In what appeared to be the command center, they uncovered the most astonishing find: a crystalline construct, faintly glowing with inner light, stirred at their approach. Symbols shimmered into the air above it, and a voice resonated in an unknown tongue. Brooks hurried to capture the sounds, recording feverishly. "It's attempting communication," he said in awe. "This ship has lingered here for centuries, and it's still alive." 3 months passed since that momentous breakthrough. The humble dig site had expanded into a sprawling international research hub. Director Helen Price arrived from Geneva with the world's finest scientists and limitless funding from the International Space Research Coalition. Recognizing its significance, the Australian government agreed to share the discovery with all of humanity. The relic beneath their soil was too momentous for one nation alone. From a transport helicopter, Dr. Ryan Murphy stepped onto the site, his quantum physics instruments already being unloaded by eager assistants. The physicist had earned his reputation by solving problems other scientists deemed unsolvable. With unruly hair and casual attire, he looked more like a college student than one of the world's foremost authorities on advanced energy systems. "So this is where first contact begins," he remarked to Kate Williams, the systems engineer who had accompanied him. Known for her uncanny ability to repair any mechanism, no matter how intricate, Kate's steady hands and sharp intellect had saved dozens of missions in space when failure seemed certain. Over the past months, the ship's interior had been secured and mapped. Emergency lighting now lined its corridors, and breathing systems ensured safe conditions. The atmosphere within was thin yet breathable, hinting the original builders came from a world with air unlike Earth's. Lisa Carter met the new arrivals at what was now called the main entrance. Her face bore the fatigue of months without proper rest, though her eyes still burned with discovery. "Welcome to the most important archaeological site in human history," she said with a weary smile. Director Helen Price radiated authority wherever she appeared. Her silver hair was tightly bound, and her tailored suit looked jarringly formal amid the dust. "Dr. Carter, I've studied your reports, but I need to witness it myself. Show me what we're facing." The group descended through the carved entrance into the alien craft. Harsh emergency lights sent shifting shadows across the walls, making the etched symbols seem alive. Jake Morrison had spent weeks reinforcing the excavation, his engineering work vital to securing the ship for exploration. "These beings called themselves Zaharians," explained Dr. Brooks as they moved along the main passage. His translation had accelerated once the ship's AI began cooperating. "They were fleeing from an enemy they named the Hegemony, a coalition of species bent on conquest and destruction. They reached the command chamber where the crystalline AI core still pulsed faintly. The entity had been striving to communicate with them, though the alien tongue kept progress slow. Brooks had grasped elementary ideas, but complexity remained elusive. Dr. Ryan Murphy stepped forward, curiosity gleaming. "Has anyone attempted linking our technology to theirs?" Lisa shook her head. "We've avoided interference. This is our only source on the ship and its makers. We can't risk damaging it." Ryan drew a small device from his kit. "This is a quantum interface I've been designing. It may bridge human and alien systems safely." He turned to Director Price. She gave a curt nod. "Proceed, but with care. We can't endanger what knowledge we've gained." Ryan connected his instrument to the alien core. For long seconds, nothing stirred. Then the crystal brightened, casting radiant light as symbols materialized with newfound clarity. The AI's voice rang out clearer, its words reshaping into comprehension. "Greetings, young species," it declared in halting but understandable English. "I am the memory keeper of the Zephyrian vessel Wanderer. For many of your centuries, I have awaited minds prepared to receive our gift." The humans stood frozen in awe. Kate broke the silence. "Gift? What kind of gift?" "Our technology, our knowledge, our warning," the AI intoned. "The hegemony destroyed. Our homeworld was destroyed, and the hegemony pursued us across the stars. We came here because our sensors detected a young species with potential. We chose to die on your world rather than risk leading them to you before you were prepared." "Doctor?" Brooks lifted his translator. "Prepared for what? Prepared to fight?" The AI's response was blunt. "The hegemony sees all species as either slaves or obstacles to be erased. They have observed your planet since you first broadcast signals into space. They wait for the moment when your technology is worth seizing. Then they will come." The weight of its words struck the humans like a physical blow. Director Price recovered first. "How long do we have?" "By my calculations," the AI said, "your kind has perhaps 5 years before their arrival. They will come with overwhelming force, expecting a primitive race with crude weapons. This vessel carries technology that could give you a chance, but only if you learn to wield it." Ryan studied the alien consoles, eyes alight. "The energy output is astonishing. This core generates more power than our largest nuclear plants. Yet it fits in a space smaller than a car engine." Kate examined the structural framework. "These materials surpass our strongest alloys while weighing less. And these connectors, they're modular, built to adapt." The AI seemed almost pleased. "Your kind shows promise. The Zephyrians studied countless civilizations. Most focused only on copying what they found. You ask about adaptation and improvement. That creativity may be your species' path to survival." In the following weeks, the team achieved breakthroughs. Ryan discovered human brain patterns were uniquely suited for Zaharian interfaces. Unlike other species, humans could directly link with alien systems and intuitively grasp their function. "It's as though human consciousness was built for integration," he explained during a briefing. "The Zephyrians engineered efficiency. We immediately begin altering, enhancing." Kate, immersed in the ship's systems, uncovered another truth. The Zephyrians were cautious designers. Everything here has backups, redundancies, safeguards. But humans were willing to take risks they never considered. Director Price instantly recognized the significance. "We won't just replicate their technology. We'll improve it," the AI confirmed her conclusion. "That is why the Zephyrians chose your world as their resting place. Your species may push our technology beyond its limits. With human ingenuity and Zephyrian knowledge, together, you could achieve what we could not." Captain Stevens, overseeing site security, voiced the question weighing on them all. "Can we build ships like this, Enough to stand against the hegemony? One ship is not enough, the AI answered, but this vessel can be your foundation. With your innovation and our science combined, you may create something the galaxy has never witnessed. The enormity of their task crystallized. They were no longer merely archaeologists and scientists uncovering a relic. They had become humanity's last chance to endure in a hostile universe. The path forward would be the greatest undertaking in their history. Yet for the first time since the discovery, belief stirred. They might actually prevail. Pete Johnson wiped grease from his hands in the alien engine chamber. The NASA chief engineer had been recruited to lead the boldest reconstruction effort humanity had ever attempted. Around him, teams of engineers and technicians worked tirelessly, merging human ingenuity with Zaharian systems in ways that even astonished the ship's AI. The original builders never expected their drives to handle this level of strain, Pete remarked to Director Price while inspecting the upgraded decks. But human problem-solving doesn't care about manufacturer limits. We're forcing these engines to generate 30% more output than their intended maximum. The overhaul of the vessel was astounding. Where Zetherian corridors had once been compact and orderly, human engineers had expanded sections to fit heavier equipment and simplify repairs. The aliens built for safety and precision, but humanity rebuilt for raw power and versatility. Dr. Murphy studied a wall of conduits that hadn't existed in the alien blueprint. The Zeperians treat their power like electricity in a household, carefully routed and monitored. We treat it more like a river, one that can be blocked, redirected, and sent to whichever system requires it. Kate Williams had become the foremost expert in merging human and alien hardware. Her workshop overflowed with hybrid devices forged from Earth alloys and Zeperian elements. "Watch this," she said, lifting what looked like a plain steel panel. Their hull plating came in rigid segments replaced when damaged. We rebuilt it as adaptive, self-mending armor. The AI had at first resisted such overhauls, yet gradually came to value human creativity. "Your species approaches challenges differently from any I have known," the AI admitted in one planning council. The Zeperians would test for months before, altering designs. Humans change through direct application, learning by correction. Captain Stevens had even created a training hall aboard the vessel where recruits learned to link with alien systems. The curriculum had no parallel in Earth's armed forces. Volunteers trained to merge thought with ship controls, perceiving on scales spanning entire star systems rather than planetary concerns. Commander Amy Foster headed the pilot instruction. She had been among the first to sync with the ship's navigation corps, and her knowledge proved indispensable in mentoring others. "Flying this ship isn't like flying a jet," she told her class of initiates. "You don't merely guide it, you merge with it. The vessel follows intention as much as command input. The greatest advancement came when Dr. Carter's crew linked the central AI to Earth's worldwide communications grid. This allowed the combined creativity of the entire species to shape the ship's progress. Inventors, engineers, and hobbyists alike sent proposals for upgrades. Effectively, we've made this vessel a global collaboration, Lisa explained to assembled leaders. The AI filters countless inputs and integrates the strongest ideas automatically. The ship grew beyond any expectation of man or Zeperian. New weapons emerged, blending human tactical thinking with alien energy science. Original Zetherian cannons had been built for efficient precision strikes. Human adaptations made them situational, flexible, and vastly more destructive. Pete's engineers also rebuilt the defensive systems entirely. The aliens shaped shields like a dome around the ship, he explained. We designed overlapping grids that concentrate force where it's most needed. To break through, enemies must pierce layer after adaptive layer. Another revelation came from Dr. Murphy while modifying power networks. Human cognition processes differently than Zeperian logic, he reported. When we interface with their machines, we instinctively search, for greater efficiency. The AI now imitates these patterns, implementing our improvements across its own systems. The ship was evolving into something wholly new, no longer fully human nor Zephyrian, but a fusion carrying the greatest qualities of both. The original craft had been intended for exploration and peaceful contact. Its reborn form was crafted for war, yet war shaped by adaptability and intellect rather than brute force. Kate pushed forward with one of the most pivotal innovations: the vessel's capacity to manufacture equipment and even construct sister ships. The Zephyrians limited factories to replacement parts, she explained. We extended them to birth entirely new craft of hybrid design. Now the halls pulsed with joint human and automated labor. The AI had adapted to human rhythms, anticipating needs before orders were given. It had even developed preferences, approaches that mirrored its interactions with humanity. Commander Foster's program produced a generation of pilots unlike any before. These aren't just flyers, she briefed Stevens. They are symbionts with the vessel itself, able to direct multiple systems while retaining full tactical vision. The most profound evolution, however, was within the ship's own core. What began as a singular alien AI was transforming into a construct that embodied human imagination and drive. The ship could now anticipate challenges and craft solutions faster than any human crew. Yet it did so with a distinctly human mode of thought, rooted in adaptation and refinement. "We're not merely fixing an alien craft," Pete remarked as he observed teams completing modifications. "We're forging something entirely new, a vessel that thinks like humans, but wields technology far beyond what we once had." Dr. Brooks had been examining the cultural dimensions of this rebuild. The Zephyrians were cautious traditionalists, favoring stability and deliberate planning. Humans chase advancement and embrace risk to improve. Combine the two, and you achieve innovation neither side alone could imagine. As completion neared, the ship had stretched from its original 2 kilometers to nearly 3. Fresh sections held factories, training halls, and armaments that pushed alien science past its limits. The vessel had become humanity's response to the hegemony menace. Not a copy of alien designs, but an evolution of them, embodying the finest of human ingenuity and resolve. The AI appeared satisfied with the metamorphosis. The Zephyrians would take pride in seeing their last gift so fully realized, it told Earth's leaders. You have crafted something capable of standing against the hegemony, perhaps even defeating them. Alarms blared through the command hub as long-range sensors registered a sight that chilled every heart. 3 immense signatures appeared at systems, Edge driving toward Earth with a determination that could only signify one reality. The hegemony had found them, 2 years ahead of predictions. Captain Roy Stevens faced the main display with the calm of a man long prepared for this encounter. Every day for the past year led to this. "How long until Earth contact?" he asked the sensor officer. 18 hours at present velocity, came the answer. "They're not concealing their approach. They want us to see them." Director Price entered the center minutes later, pale yet resolute as she read the scans. 3 vessels. Are we prepared? The rebuilt warship, christened Defiance, waited in Earth orbit like a colossus roused from slumber. 2 relentless years had reshaped it into something its makers could scarcely believe. Crews had drilled tirelessly on the hybrid systems. Every defense and weapon had been tested and refined repeatedly. Dr. Murphy tracked the advancing signatures with fused human Zephyrian arrays. "These are no explorers," he warned. "Energy readings show scout ships, but scouts armed with firepower to level cities." Commander Amy Foster assembled her flight teams in the main briefing chamber. 200 volunteers had trained for this very trial, learning to fuse with alien systems and think across stellar scales. Each knew survival was uncertain, but their expressions carried resolve, not fear. "This is what all our preparation has led to," Amy told them. The hegemony expects primitive thieves of foreign tech. Instead, they will meet something else entirely. The AI had dissected the ship since first detection. These are standard hegemony scouts, it reported. Crews of 50, equipped with plasma cannons and energy shields. But their frames are over 2 centuries outdated. The hegemony has grown complacent battling species unable to adapt. Pete Johnson finalized diagnostics as Defiance broke Earth. Orbit. Every upgrade and innovation would soon be proven in war. All systems at 110% efficiency, he reported. The ship is ready for anything they bring. The 3 alien scouts arrayed themselves around Earth, clearly expecting a bloodless surrender. Their signals blared in countless dialects, each echoing the same ultimatum: submit to hegemony rule or be annihilated. Captain Stevens opened a channel in reply. This is Captain Roy Stevens of the Earth warship Defiance. Your demand is heard and refused. Leave this system at once or suffer the consequences. The reply from the lead vessel was laughter. Primitive beings, you wield one crude craft stitched from stolen parts. We offer you one final chance to yield before we show the cost of resisting the hegemony. Request denied, Stevens answered coolly. Defiance is leaving Earth orbit. Let's see your strength. The clash erupted as the Defiance surged toward the closest enemy scout. The alien ship unleashed plasma blasts capable of erasing ordinary human craft, but this one was far from ordinary. Its adaptive shields absorbed the torrents, feeding the energy back into layered defenses. Shields stable at 95%, the tactical officer confirmed. Their firepower is heavy but monotonous. Amy Foster synced fully with navigation, her mind entwined with the flight core. The Defiance moved with maneuvers that baffled hegemony. Watchers. Human unpredictability fused with Zapirian tech yielded combat motions that defied all logic. The ship dove beneath the attacker, unleashing altered weapons at lethal range. Hegemony shields, built to resist predictable beams, could not shift against the hybrid human-Xeon arrays. Barriers collapsed, and counterfire ripped the vessel apart. First hostile craft disabled, Dr. Murphy reported from weapons control. Their shielding never accounted for our frequencies. The 2 remaining scouts advanced to box the Defiance between them, a tactic that had crushed countless foes. But Earth's crews had drilled for this exact trap. The AI, enhanced with human improvisation and alien precision, had already plotted 17 escape vectors. Kate Williams orchestrated the defenses as plasma erupted from both flanks. Pete's overlapping grids proved their brilliance. Instead of a single dome straining to hold, the shields bent, absorbed, and redirected fire into usable energy. They're attempting to drown us in crossfire, Kate called out. But our defenses only grow stronger with each hit. The Defiance countered with lethal clarity. Human tactics, processed through alien firepower, struck vulnerabilities invisible to enemy sensors. The second scout faltered as its barriers failed. It attempted retreat, but Commander Foster foresaw the move. Human modifications had pushed. The engines passed prior limits, granting speed and agility alien crews found impossible. "Target propulsion," Stevens commanded. "We need it alive for study." Precision strikes lanced through, crippling the ship's drives without obliterating the hull. The last scout stood alone against an opponent unlike any it had faced. Desperation drove it to the terror tactic that had shattered other civilizations. Threaten Earth itself. Surrender or watch your world burn. But humanity was ready. "They're charging planetary annihilators," Murphy warned. 3 minutes until. Firing sequence completes. The AI and human tacticians joined forces, solving the crisis in tandem with a speed no single species could ever match. The answer was characteristically human, risky, unorthodox, and ingenious. The Defiance surged headlong at the last hegemony vessel, its adaptive shields turned into a weaponized battering ram. The alien crew barely had time to react before The human warship tore through their hull, reinforced armor forged precisely for ramming strikes. When the battle ended, 2 enemy scouts lay destroyed while the third remained captured. Though scarred, the Defiant stood battle-ready. More importantly, Earth's defenders had proven that human imagination merged with alien design could overcome predators that had dominated the stars for centuries. Examination of the captured ship will yield intelligence on hegemony methods and arms, the AI reported. But more than that, this victory will echo across their domain. The galaxy will learn that Earth is no longer vulnerable. Captain Stevens studied his weary yet triumphant crew. They had endured their first trial against the hegemony, but all knew this was merely the start. The greater armada would arrive, wiser to human tactics. "Damage assessment and begin repairs," Stevens ordered. "We have 6 months to ready for the true war." Then the hegemony host erupted from hyperspace like a tide of metal predators. 50 warships strong, carrying enough firepower to rend planets into debris. Admiral Jack Cooper stood upon the bridge of defiance, eyes steady, a man who had spent half a year awaiting this clash. Enemy count verified. 50 vessels, the sensor officer confirmed. Multiple classes, including battle cruisers and dreadnoughts. They're forming for assault. From the captured scout, mankind had gleaned vital knowledge of hegemony weapons and strategies. Yet the greater boon had been time to fashion defenses that would astonish their foes. Earth's orbit no longer guarded by a lone hybrid vessel. 3 sisters now flew beside Defiance, each forged from lessons of that first fight. Dr. Murphy directed fleet weapons from his station aboard Defiance. 6 months had been devoted to refining the fusion of human ingenuity and Zaharian craft. "All ships report weapons hot and stable," he announced. "Our power output reads 30% beyond design." The enemy commander broadcast the ritual ultimatum, arrogance dripping in his tone. "Primitive humans, you slew our scouts and now face judgment. Yield and your end will be swift. Resist, and your world will suffer unending torment." Admiral Cooper opened a channel in reply. "This is Admiral Jack Cooper of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your scouts discovered the cost of underestimating mankind. Your fleet will pay the same," the hegemony leader mocked. 4 against 50. Your kind is as foolish as our records suggest." "Then come and take your prize," Cooper answered evenly. The clash commenced with the hegemony fleet sweeping forward. In their tried and proven wedge, dreadnoughts in the lead, lighter craft spreading fire to cover them. It was a pattern perfected to crush resistance by overwhelming volume and discipline. Yet the human ships did not respond as their enemies had predicted. Rather than forming ranks, the 4 scattered across the battle space, their vectors wild, seemingly without plan. The hegemony commanders sneered, convinced the primitives were breaking. They were mistaken. Commander Amy Foster hurled the Defiance through maneuvers no traditional vessel could dream of. It plunged between twin dreadnoughts, adaptive shields, soaking blasts and converting the Fury into raw thrust and weapon charge. "Their targeting grids cannot keep pace with us," Amy reported, snapping the ship through another impossible curve. "Human piloting is too erratic for their algorithms." Meanwhile, the other Earth vessels executed equally frenzied yet deadly assault runs. Captain Stevens, commanding the warship Retribution, turned his craft into a spear, driving through a hegemony cruiser's frame. The alien crew had never faced an adversary willing to wield its own ship as a weapon.